Welcome to Poly Role Models. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Jet Noir. I'm a burlesque performer and activist and fitness coach and sex educator. I wear a lot of hats, and
Yeah,
I live here in Oakland, California.
awesome, awesome. So, how long have you been polyamorous, or how long have you been practicing polyamory?
I'd say it's probably since 2014 when I was first introduced to the term, and from there I started sort of doing research by attending open relationship discussion groups and things like that that involved a lot of couples that were in polyamorous relationships, and they would basically sit in this, sort of roundtable discussion and talk about some challenges that they had faced and that sort of thing.
Okay,
So before 2014, I hadn't really practiced it. I just kind of felt like I was, failing at relationships, at monogamous relationships.
yeah, I understand that. So what does your relationships dynamic look like?
Well, currently my relationship dynamic is solo poly. That's the best way to describe me currently. In a perfect world, I would like it to be primary partner, well, like one primary partner, one lover, and then one sub. And currently, I do have a lover that I see on a regular basis, as well as one sub.
Okay, all right. So what aspects of polyamory do you excel at?
Definitely communication, and the reason I'm confident in saying that is because uh, through years of anger management, that was something that I really worked on, was
Okay,
communication. Because I found that if I was proactive with my communication and telling people, "Hey, here's what works best for us to be friends" or whatever, then I found that I wasn't angry very often because I would just get out in front of things and say, "Hey, let's communicate in this way," or "Here's a better way for us to communicate." So when it came time to apply those skills to polyamory, it was a pretty easy transition.
okay, awesome. What aspect of polyamory do you struggle with?
So what's funny is it's still communication, but it's a very nuanced form where if if I feel like I've been honest with someone and then I feel sort of penalized for my honesty, my communication after that is a struggle.
Yeah,
So as an example, if I tell someone, hey, someone says, hey, do you find my sister attractive? And I say, yes, I would totally have sex with your sister. And then it turns into an argument, then I'm going to be reluctant about that sort of honesty in the future because it's like, oh, well, I'm just being honest and answering your question.
yeah.
And now I kind of got to think twice before I speak to you, and that's where my struggle will come in. And another area will probably be prompt replies to text messages.
All right. Well, and how do you overcome those then? How do you overcome those struggles?
Just being honest about that reluctance and saying, hey, the last time we talked about something like this, I kind of felt like you weren't prepared for any answer, and now because of that, I'm really reluctant to be honest with you about this subject, and just sort of putting that on the table, hashing it out, discussing it. Then hopefully, me and that person can come to a new understanding, and then I kind of get over my hesitance, and then it's cool from there. So that's usually the way that I deal with that.
Okay, that's actually an amazing answer. In terms of risk aware or safer sex, what do you do? What do you and your partners do to protect one another?
Always sex with condoms and lube. Always. Now there are the rare occasions where I'll find myself fluid bonded with someone, but that's a really rare occasion, like something that comes up like every a few years. The other thing is I'm a huge fan of a date at the clinic where we go and we get tested together, and that's our date. And then after that, sure, we'll have dinner or whatever. But that's like how the date will start. And just having those conversations on a regular basis, and just showing, hey, here's evidence of my test, and here's what the results were, as opposed to, oh yeah, I got tested, I'm fine.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What is the worst mistake you've made in your polyamorous history, and how did you rebound from that?
My worst mistake has been trying to convince someone who is monogamy minded that polyamory is like the way, the truth, and the light. And the reason I say that's a mistake is, number one, when it comes to polyamory or monogamy, they're both choices and they're both to be respected. There's no one way that's right or wrong or better than the other.
Okay.
It's just what works for the people involved. And so I never want to approach uh, anyone who is monogamy minded with that sort of moral high ground, like I'm doing it right and they're not. The way that I've rebounded from that mistake is just sort of being extra clear with monogamy minded people if they're interested in dating me. And when I say extra clear, I mean before the first date, just laying it out on the table. Hey, here's what comes along with me. I'm a sex educator, so sometimes I'll be in a situation that you may not want to watch, and I'll just sort of be very specific about, hey, here's what could realistically happen in my life, and if you're okay with that, not just it happening, but actually seeing it, meeting my lovers, and all of that. If you're okay with that, great, let's go on that date. If not, then maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah, understandable. Well, what self identities are important to you, and how do you feel like being polyamorous intersects with those or affects those identities?
Being cisgender, being heterosexual, and being black are all identities that are very important to me. And as far as how they intersect, I think that I should never have to apologize for or do the emotional labor of explaining any of those identities. Because if I have to explain to someone what it means to be a black man in this country or in this world, then that's emotional labor I don't want within a relationship. And the same thing with being cisgender or heterosexual. I don't feel like I should have to apologize for those things. Now, recently, there's been some kerfuffle going on social media where I guess someone felt like, being labeled cisgender was some form of shaming, and I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I definitely don't feel that.
neither do I.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous thing, but I do find this odd thing pops up every now and again where someone will refer to someone as cis when it has nothing to do with what they said after that. So, as an example, oh, that cis person littered on the street. Well, what does them being cis have anything to do with them littering on the street, right?
Yeah,
And so, again, I don't think there's any such thing as cis shaming, but still, uh, if the one thing has nothing to do with the other, then why bring it up?
understand. Now, finally, do you have any groups, projects, websites, blogs, etc., that you're involved with that you'd like to promote?
Definitely, the thing that I want to promote the most is a website that I started a number of years ago called Body Faming.
Okay.
And it's bodyfaming.com, and here's where the site came from. I work as a fitness coach, and a huge part of my job, whether I want to help them get their body stronger or not, I always have to start with their mind, because people come to me and they say, I hate all these things about my body, help me change it. And I say, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. You kind of have to love where you are now in order to not just reach your goals in 6 weeks, but still find yourself happy with who you are 10 years, 20 years from now. You kind of have to change your mindset. So what happens is, on the internet, there are often these cases of body shaming where someone is body shamed, and then a lot of people on the internet rally behind this person to say, hey, we love you just the way you are. And I thought to myself, well, why can't we take a more proactive approach to that? Instead of waiting on someone to get body shamed and then rallying behind them, what if there's a more proactive approach where the person just focused on their own self-love? And that's where the term body faming came in. So the way the site works is not unlike Post Secret, where people can submit anonymous selfies. We don't allow any faces.
Yeah.
And in those anonymous selfies, it's just their own kind words about their body. So people will say, hey, these are my boobs, and for years that I thought that they were wrong or misshapen or whatever, but I've come to love them, and here's why I love them. And they'll say this about various parts of their body, and it's just a place for people to go online and celebrate themselves.
That sounds pretty awesome. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Oh, thank you so much, Jet, for taking the time and contributing to Poly Role Models.
Right on. Thank you for having me. And, if anyone wants to reach out to me with any questions about anything that I said here, then they're more than welcome to go to my actual website, which is JetNoirMuse, JetNoirMuse.com. And then they can reach out to me there and ask me any questions they may have.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thanks again.
Right on. Thank you.